and welcome to my channel. My name's Ali, and in today's video I'm going to be going through how to weigh your chinchillas. Now, first of all, why do we weigh our chinchillas? It's because chinchillas are prey animals, and like all prey animals, they hide their illnesses extremely well. So the first sign that something could be wrong with your chinchilla is in fact weight loss. So it's a good idea to know what your chinchilla's base weight is. Now, what do I mean by base weight? I mean what your chinchilla normally weighs, to compare it to make sure that your chinchilla isn't losing weight rapidly. Now, one thing I will say is that chinchilla's weights can vary dramatically from chinchilla to chinchilla. Much like people, there are some chinchillas that weigh under 500 grams, some chinchillas that weigh over a kilo. So there's a huge variation of how much a chinchilla weighs. So don't worry if your chinchilla weighs under 500 grams. Don't think that that's an unhealthy weight, because it might be a healthy weight for your particular chinchilla. So it's more about knowing what your chinchilla normally weighs so you can gauge whether they're ill or not. Things you're going to need to actually weigh your chinchilla is a pair of scales. Now, I use digital kitchen scales. It's a good idea to have one that weighs in grams. Then you need your chinchilla. Now, the first method of weighing your chinchilla is if you have a chinchilla that stays still for more than a nanosecond, then you might be able to use this method, which is basically to zero out your scales to zero, so make sure they are at zero before you start, and then to carefully put your chinchilla on the scales. Now, if you have a chinchilla that likes to sit still, then this can be fine, and then you can just take down their weight. However, I am more than aware that most chinchillas will instantly bolt as soon as you let them out. Some of my chinchillas don't stay still for more than a second, so it's pretty impossible to weigh your chinchilla that way, because they just don't stay still. In the cases where my chinchillas won't sit still, what I use is a carry case. So I put the carry case on the scale. Once I've put the carry case on the scales, I actually reduce the scales to zero again. So I reset the scales to zero. So it's including the case in the scales. And then I will add the chinchilla to the carry case. Now, you will get a fluctuation all the time, because when they're moving about in the carry case, it can cause the scale to fluctuate slightly. But once your chinchilla has settled down for a minute or two and is still, that's the reading you need to take. So that is the reading that I took with this one. For example, this one, when she was still, she was weighing 690 grams, which is about right for her. Now, when you weigh your chinchilla, there can be a variance each time. Like all animals and like humans, your weight fluctuates. So from one week to another week, your weight fluctuates depending on, how much you've eaten, have you got a full bladder, all that kind of thing can affect how much your chinchilla weighs. So a variance of 20 to 30 grams isn't too much to worry about either way. However, if your chinchilla has lost weight, you might want to do a follow-up weighing week down the line, and just to see, has your chinchilla put back on the weight? Has your chinchilla stayed steady? Or has your chinchilla lost more weight? Now, if your chinchilla is steadily losing weight, that might be an indication that you need to go to your vet to see exactly why is your chinchilla losing weight. But yeah, don't panic too much if you get a variance of 20 to 30 grams. It's not that big a deal. But if you have a variance of 20 to 30 grams, as in they've lost 20 to 30 grams, and then when you re-weigh your chinchilla a week later, they have lost yet more weight, then that would be a cause for concern. So yeah, that's how you weigh a chinchilla. That is why you weigh a chinchilla. And I generally weigh my chinchillas every 2 weeks. That is mainly because I breed chinchillas, and sometimes you have to monitor the females to make sure that they're gaining weight if you think that they're pregnant, and it's a good indication to decide whether they are actually pregnant or not. And yeah, so obviously if you've bought a kit from somebody, you would expect them to be constantly gaining weight up until around the age of 6 to 9 months of age, and then they'll gradually peter off and they'll get to their final weight they weigh all the time. So yeah, if you have a young chinchilla, like a 3-month-old chinchilla, it should be gaining weight still quite rapidly at that point. That's how you weigh a chinchilla. I just wanted to show you the different methods because I know there's lots of videos online of people weighing their chinchillas and it being quite simple, as in, oh, you just plonk the chinchilla on the scales and always hunky-dory, and I know that it can be a little more difficult than that if you have a chinchilla that's particularly skittish or one that just doesn't sit still. So that's the way I do it. I actually use a carry case to put them in so that it makes the whole experience a little bit less stressful for you and a little bit less stressful for them. So I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in another one soon. Goodbye!